Hello, this is a scenario analysis I'm sorry, this is a video about a scenario analysis. And here's what we're going to do. Eventually, we're going to do a couple of these scenario analyses. But what we'd like to do, I believe having a good little summary page is very effective. Okay? In this case, I'm looking at a really interesting project in Rwanda, and we can look at what we want to do is look at alternative cases, and we want to look at alternative exchange rates, and I think I have some other videos on how to effectively model all these exchange rates and everything else. And then in this case, I want to model alternative PPA structures. So what I want to do is make a scenario, pick some of these scenarios, and then summarize them all and kind of put a nice little page together with all of the scenarios on them, and not just structure the scenarios in a kind of format like this where you're kind of forced to put the various scenarios in. So let's see how we do that. Now, the particular thing I'm going to do is look at alternative ways to, we might take a loan and disperse a loan. And I'm going to put a scenario name that might extend over to here, and we'll put a scenario number. Now, on this one, I'm going to try different exchange rates and see what happens to the kind of some of these outputs, including the amount of the debt to capital, the amount of the rate of return the loan earns, the amount of equity that must be raised if we have different exchange rate scenarios. The worst is kind of a high exchange, a big devaluation. I'm also going to look at different ways of dispersing the loan. I'm going to look at different periods of disbursement, so every 2 months or every 6 months. And I'll look at kind of different total disbursements of the loan. Now, each time we do that, we have a little bit of a circular reference. Oops. And just a minute. Oh, shit. I wasn't going to swear in any more of the videos. And then, yeah. Okay. There's a little bit of a balance. Just a minute. Okay, excuse me for that little interruption. So we have different scenarios with different debt to capital ratios, and we want to run different potential cost overruns, which we put in a scenario. And we want to run different exchange rates. It doesn't really say that this is the exchange rate, but it is. Now, what we're going to do is essentially, let's run through this. We're going to make a macro. This time, I did another video on this. And in the other video, we put another separate scenario page. This time, let's put our outputs kind of in a scenario somewhere like this. We're going to make a range name. And here are some of the steps we're going to do. We're going to clear out the range name. We're going to just selectively run scenarios. We'll use the input box to name the scenario name in a macro. We'll put a number here, and each time we run it, we're going to look and see what the maximum scenario we had before is, and then increment the number. We're going to put a clear scenario tab here. So let's put a couple of tabs that we're going to use. So the first tab that we're going to use, and we won't even connect it yet, I just want to try to explain how this is going to work. The first tab will be create a scenario. Okay? So let's, button 404, create scenario. I'm not supposed to complain about Microsoft anymore, so I won't. I will probably, because of what they did to me. Okay, and then we're going to also, then we're going to clear the scenarios. Okay, Let's take the whole thing out. Okay, I just don't have any idea what. So we're going to push a button. We'll try different scenarios with different S-curves, different things up here, and then we'll keep tabulating. And if we want to run it again, we'll do it again, and we'll do it all with an output range. Now, here's what I hope you do in some of the videos. If you go to the disk, and you go to chapter number, oops, let's go, this is a USB disk that I think I asked for, and go to courses, and let's go to chapter 1, and in chapter 1, in the project finance model, I made a featured project finance model, and one of those last project finance models that I featured was the solar model version 3. Okay, of course, if you want all these models, all you have to do is ask for the Google Drive, and I'm not going to start badgering you or anything else. And in this thing, we had a scenario, and if we want to copy the scenario, we can put base case. It copies that. The last scenario we did, it calls it scenario 1. We go to the project summary. Let's try a higher IRR, and we can copy the scenario result, and we put higher IRR, and it copies it, and it formats it for us and all that. So we can just tabulate a whole bunch of scenarios. That's the idea. Now, I can't remember exactly what I did. I can remember vaguely what I did. So I'm going to take this scenario thing. Let's copy this. Okay. And then we have, let's copy the clear one too. Okay. What's the best way to copy this into? You know what I'm going to do? How about this? Let's copy this into a Word file. And let's make it a little smaller. And then let's kind of, oh, I got a lot of spelling mistakes, of course. Well, they're supposed to be like that. Okay, and why don't we just, okay, let's just look at kind of how we do that. Well, the first thing is we define a scenario name. The next thing, this might have been kind of silly. I wanted to, make a nice kind of presentation of this so you can see it. I think the best way might be just to take that and go to our new file, and let's right-click. Hang on. How about we'll just go to, excuse me for kind of changing my mind, go to macros, and let's put create. Okay, so let's do that, and then I just copied the scenario. I'll delete that. We'll call it scenario tab. Now we put a base sheet. We don't need that because we're going to do this, and we don't need to go to a different sheet. We do need a scenario name that we're going to put. Now the row name is going to be the base row, so we have to define this base row. Okay, this is this row where we put all of the outputs. It's almost better to call it base, the output row, but I'm going to call this base row just like we did before. And all you do is put equal row and get the row. And then we'll eventually select those two and press Shift Control F3. Okay. Then, where are we? Let's look at our thing again. And then we go, we name, in just a minute, we name the row. This has the, we say, let's select the entire row. And did I, oh no, just a minute. Oh. Oh no, okay. Ah, oh no. Oh, screw this. Okay, I'm really trying with these videos. Trying a little bit harder than I did before. This is a model. It's a DEF model. It's a whole big 14 megawatt plant. We can include a phase 2 and make it a 54 megawatt project. It's a fascinating project in a lake in Rwanda. The project can have a whole lot of different scenarios. So we tried a different PPA structure. We tried a different kind of downside assumptions. We tried different exchange rates with different inflation rates, and each one produces a different cash flow relative to the debt service, different DSCR, and different other items, levelized costs, and we look at the perspective, I hope, of people in the country and look at perspectives of the investor. Put them right next to each other. Okay? Now, what I might want to do is just create a bunch of scenarios. So this scenario table is kind of too structured. And now if you go to your disk or your Google Drive, you go to chapter number 1 and you go to the one called Project Finance Models, and you go to the one called Featured Project Finance Models, you can find the solar version 3 example, and I'm going to try to do the, whoops, I've already got it open. Okay, and then in this one, I don't know, look, I delete this scenario, I deleted the scenarios now. If you recall, we made some different projects, so let's say I put our IRR lower, okay, and then we can copy the scenario and go to base case, okay, and then we can put let's put a low IRR case. And notice how it formats it and all this. And then we can put let me see, what do we have right now? We're setting it based on DSCR. Let's say we set it on gearing and we put a 90% gearing, 95% gearing. So I know that's not realistic. 95% gearing case. And we just make our own scenarios. Now I want to show you how to take this thing we did, this macro we made. We're going to copy this macro into our new sheet that I showed you, okay? And this is, I'm just kind of recording a video while I have a very real project to do. And then we're going to go and we're going to take all of these scenarios and make a different scenario and see how much equity people have to put in, what the debt to capital is, and we're going to put kind of different, the loan was in one currency and the costs were in kind of US and should have been in euros, and then we can put different methods of disbursement. It really doesn't matter what they are. We can put different kind of cases, okay, and then we can run them all. And we're going to just define some scenarios, but this time let's put it in one single area, okay. I'm going to move this little thing for the test over here, because our scenario number, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you just do this, I hope you know how to do this fast. Alt-EIS, enter. We might have 8 scenarios, and then we want to create a scenario. I haven't attached this to macro, and then clear the scenario. And so right now, let's just set up our macro, and let's put scenarios. Okay, so we got a blank kind of thing, and I'm just going to now go back to, I thought I had copied this, apparently I haven't. I think we can just go to the prior window we had open and just copy that, and so that's in the solar model, and I'm going to give you some other models too with it. Okay, I'm going to, unfortunately, probably ramble on about a couple of other videos like this. Now in this case, here's what I want to do. I want to do the same sort of thing, and we have this scenario number. I'm going to press Shift Control 7. You know, that just circles the whole. That's our row. That's I call this the base row. This is going to be important. And we're going to take this base row, okay, up here, and copy that, and then we're going to paste that to the next ones. Now, when I did it before, I copied the entire row. This time, we're just going to have to change the base row a little bit and go from a different column. We'll go from this column here to this column. So we're going to have to define the range name just a little bit differently, okay? But we'll try to apply the same sort of ideas, okay? So why not? I'm going to right-click and assign this macro to the one we just did. And you can see I have a circular reference macro that's very bad. Okay, whoops, did I don't know if I ran it or assigned it. I think I assigned it, and let's press edit. Okay, we could have got it a different way. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Should turn the video off, but getting very old. So this time, we're gonna not move around sheets. And the first thing we're going to do is enter a scenario name, just like we did before. A simple little scenario name. Excuse me. A nice little beer. Then we go to a row name. And this row name is, we're going to select that to copy it. Now, last time we took an entire row. This time, we really want to know and perhaps we should do it differently. Let's put the address of this. We want the address of this to the address of this. Address and how about this? So let's start with start row start. Now I don't think we're going to need the range names for this, and then end row, which will be the same as the start row, and end column. Okay, and then let's see if we can make an address. So put equal row. You kind of have to really work with all the rows and the columns. Okay, so let's put the start row and the column. All right, and put that. Okay, and then let's put the end row, which is the same thing, of course. No, but and then the column. That's the end, and that's going to be a different column. Okay, and then instead of this base row, let's have address. And this address is going to be address, and we put the row and the column. And it gives us B8. And then we can put an and sign. Never done this ever. And then put the row, and then put the column. Okay, and then if we really want to get a little fancier, we need a colon here and another colon. So our address for our row is this, and that's what we really want to know, that we want. And let's name this a range. Shift Control F3, excuse me, Shift Control F3, and oops, I didn't select both of them. Shift Control F3, and it's the left column, and so our range name is this. So let's just, this time, instead of doing it this, we'll put, we don't even need this, and we put range address. Okay, and that will say, well, it's going to be A5, you know, the thing. Okay, and then we have to put our column name in, and we can do the same thing. Now, our column name, it's important to get the whole name of the entire column. So the hardest part here is let's put a column name. And I kind of didn't really explain that, but we'll do the same thing. We'll put the address. Oops. This is a function. Maybe, you know, it's probably a bad idea to name a range the same as a function. But then let's put the, we can put the row. It doesn't really matter what row we have. And then let's put the column of the maximum number. This is the key thing to really make this work, is you need that column. Okay, so this is K4, but then we only want the K, so we can put the mid, and then this is going to be a text, and then let's go to the 2, and then let's go to 1. Okay, and it gives us column. The column name is the K. Shift Control F3 to get that listed. Okay, so we've got we've got everything really started, and then we take the maximum number in that column number. Now that maximum number, when you first do it, it'll be 0. So what you're going to do, if it's 0, then you're going to copy that base row, range base row, and that range should, instead of saying base row, now it just should say address. Okay, that's because that's going to be range to copy is going to be that range we have. Row to copy, excuse me, it's not right. It's just a second. Let's sorry. So excuse me for this. We still do need a base row. Our base row is going to just be the row number. Oh, we already have it. You know, that would be silly to be so redundant. Okay, and we press Shift Control F3. Okay, so that's our base row. I think I defined it already, but that's the place we really start. So we're going to take that row number 8 and add 2 to that row. Okay, and then we otherwise, if it's not equal to 0, we go to the maximum number and add 1. Okay, and then that's the scenario number we define. And then this range copy 2 depends on, we put the row number here. Now, again, this assumes we're going to copy the entire row, so we have to make one more change, and we have to, we really have to be a little bit careful. So this is going to be the address we had. Excuse me, I'm going to have to stop the video. And then I want to see, then we paste special, and then we say sends range copy. Oh, and then we put the scenario name in one of them, in the range copy 2. Just a minute, the range cells range copy 2. That's the row number and the column number. Okay. row to copy to is fine. Where's the row to copy to? That's fine, but our range depends on the column number. So unfortunately, we're going to have to put a start column and an end column. Okay, it might have been easier than doing this. So start column and an end column. This turns out to be a little bit more painful than I had thought it would. Address. Okay, and how are we doing? Ooh, I'm at 15 minutes already. Okay, so let's put the start column and put address and go to our, we can go to our row, and then we can go to the start the start column. Okay, and then this time we'll do the same thing, mid. So I'm sorry if it's taking a little bit long, this video. Oops, shoot. Okay, and we'll put this text in, and we put start number 1. It's 2, 1, isn't that right? It starts in column I, and then we do almost the same thing. We put equal address, and this time, that's better. And then we put the same start row, but we put the end column. Okay, and then we do the same thing. We put mid and 2, 1. This, 2, 1. Okay, if you had it, AA, obviously, you'd have to take 2 characters. Okay, so we'll put the start and the end column and name those ranges. Shift Control F3. And now what we'll have to do, and I think I'm gonna pause the video here. I'm gonna just put this range, copy this range, not the row to copy name. This, well, this is the selection. I'm gonna change this to range to copy name. It's not a very good name, is this really? And then we're going to select that, and then we're going to paste that. So the problem is here we have to start in a column, and this we're going to put, so this would be like A1, so we'll put range, and then we put column start. Okay, and then we go to copy to, and then we put range, and then we put column end, if I did that right. Okay, and then we click on this, and we put, it start column and end column. So of course I spelled it, I did it wrong. Okay, and then what I'm going to do to make the video a little bit shorter, I'm just going to stop recording and not watch you test it out. Okay, of course I made a few errors. There was some stuff down below, so the column name should have started at column 1. So this is range A or B or I, actually, 1 to range A20. We could put a longer range in. We find the maximum column number. Now I listed that out. I don't have to do that anymore. And then if it's 0, we put it in the next, just in row 2 below the base row. If it's otherwise, we put it in 1 plus the match we have of the maximum. And then we copy it, and we put the A or I in copy to, and then I had to also define a scenario number, because this is the range copy to, and we put a scenario number in it. So it took me a little longer than I expected. Happens. Let's create a scenario. Let's put test, and then writes it for us. It just basically copies it. And then let's take a different, perhaps we'll take a different exchange rate test 1. And then we can make our downside case. And we create a scenario. So I'll put downside. Okay, so we can make our nice little descriptions. And then we can make our, bank-based case. And when we create a scenario. Okay, so that's the way it's supposed to work. That's what you wanted. The macro will be there. Be there. You can go and find the macro. And then now for clearing the scenario, I haven't tested this out yet, so if it doesn't work, I'll switch the macro off again and finish this, but oops, just about worked. Let me just press Control. So what I did is I pressed an output area. Right now that output area needs to be starting in one row above. Okay, so I just pressed F3 and we Control F3 rather. So let's try that again. Let's create another scenario. This is downside case. Okay. And maybe one more, just because we're so good at this other case, which I should have changed something on, but I didn't. And then we clear the scenario, and it clears it for us. Okay, and this clear scenario was just a, so you can look for this file. I think this little thing is, I actually should have been doing this a long time ago. I think it's quite helpful to just create scenarios. I just started doing this and I'm using it kind of immediately. So that's another one in the scenario analysis. Now I'm going to put this on the, I can't get, I'm not on the internet right now. I'm going to put this on the website. There's a scenario page, okay? I'll put that.